You start at the bottom. Good. That means no one sees you coming. Every king, every conqueror, every untouchable force began in the shadows, quiet, unnoticed, underestimated. You're in the perfect position to rise because no one fears the man they believe is nothing. But that illusion is your first weapon. In this world, power isn't granted. It's taken by those who understand the game beneath the surface. And you, right now, are learning the game. Listen closely. Your past doesn't define you. Your circumstances don't cage you. What matters is the moment you decide you're done being forgettable. This is that moment. The world has conditioned you to doubt yourself, to shrink, to comply. But you're done playing small. From here on, you move with intent. You sharpen your mind. You master your emotions. You study every room like a strategist preparing for conquest. Comment, "My rise is inevitable," if you feel that shift inside you right now, because this is the beginning of a transformation the world won't see until it's too late. You rise quietly, strategically, relentlessly, until the day they finally look your way and realize they can't ignore you anymore. Number 2, the first shift toward power. You want to rise from nothing? Then understand this. The world isn't shaped by those who wait for permission. It's shaped by those who learn to bend reality to their will. Your starting point is irrelevant. Your mindset is everything. Most people cling to comfort like a shield, terrified of pressure, terrified of judgment, terrified of failing publicly. But pressure is where steel is born. Judgment is where confidence is carved. And failure is simply the first draft of power. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to become formidable. To do that, you must detach from the noise around you. Detach from the opinions that keep ordinary men in chains. Detach from the fear that paralyzes the weak. A Machiavellian mind understands that emotion is a tool, not a master. You don't react, you calculate. You don't chase validation, you cultivate leverage. Every setback becomes data. Every insult becomes fuel. Every doubt becomes a map showing you exactly where to strike next. You rise by studying people, studying patterns, studying yourself. You rise by upgrading your habits, your discipline, your patience. This transformation isn't loud, it's surgical. Quiet mornings, ruthless focus, delayed gratification. When others celebrate meaningless victories, you build foundations they will later depend on. When they sleep, you sharpen your intellect. When they gossip, you strategize. When they waste time, you invest it. And eventually, the same people who overlooked you will start watching you, closely, nervously, silently wondering when you became a threat. Good. Let them wonder. Your rise is not for their comfort, it's for your inevitability. This world bows to the man who refuses to break, who refuses to beg, who refuses to remain invisible. Become that man. Become the storm they never predicted, the presence they can't dismiss, the force they quietly fear. Your rise begins with discipline, sharpens with strategy, and cements itself through unshakable self-control. Now breathe and accept what you're becoming. Stand firm in this moment and recognize that every choice you make from here strengthens the path you are carving for yourself now. Comment, I forge my own power. Number 3, the becoming of an unshakable mind. Strength doesn't begin in your body. It begins in the quiet corners of your mind where no one is watching. This is where you forge the version of yourself that cannot be manipulated, shaken, or broken. Most people crumble the moment life pushes them because they've spent years building themselves on emotions rather than principles. But you're different. You're learning to operate from a foundation built on clarity, discipline, and cold psychological awareness. You don't let temporary feelings dictate permanent decisions. You don't let other people's chaos penetrate your inner order. You move with intention, with restraint, with a level of calm that unsettles those who expect a reaction from you. This is the beginning of psychological dominance, the kind that doesn't scream, doesn't posture, doesn't need validation. It simply exists, and everyone feels it. You You start to recognize the patterns of your own mind when you get distracted, when you get lazy, when your discipline slips. And instead of making excuses, you correct it immediately, quietly, without seeking praise. You understand that discomfort is currency, and the more you endure now, the more powerful you become later. Your habits shift, your thoughts sharpen, your tolerance for nonsense evaporates. You begin to think like a strategist, not a dreamer, always aware of the bigger picture, always 3 moves ahead. You prepare for situations before they arrive, and because of that, nothing catches you off guard. You become emotionally untouchable, not by suppressing your feelings, but by mastering them. Anger becomes a signal, not an explosion. Fear becomes information, not a prison. Doubt becomes a challenge, not a wall. You redirect every emotion into something useful: focus, drive, silence, improvement. The world respects the man who cannot be rattled, who stands firm while others fold, who responds with calculation instead of impulse. You are becoming that man, slowly, intentionally, powerfully, and soon people will notice the shift. They won't understand it, but they will feel it. The controlled presence, the sharpened attention, the quiet confidence that signals someone who is no longer ruled by the world around him. You are becoming unshakable. Comment: my mind is my fortress. Number 4, the art of strategic becoming. You rise when you stop moving like the man you were and begin moving like the man you intend to become. Transformation isn't something you announce, it's something you execute, quietly, methodically, with a level of inner discipline that unsettles anyone who pays attention long enough to notice the shift. Most people live in a state of emotional turbulence, reacting to every comment, every slight, every inconvenience. But you're learning to regulate your internal world with calculated precision. You don't give people access to your triggers. You don't give them the luxury of seeing you flinch. Power begins with emotional mastery, because a man who controls his reactions controls every interaction, and a man who controls interactions controls outcomes. You're stepping into a mindset where silence becomes your strategy, efficiency becomes your default, and intention becomes your compass. You learn to conserve your energy, to direct it only toward actions that advance you. You don't chase distractions, you eliminate them. You don't seek approval, you command respect through consistency. You don't explain your moves, you let results speak the language others can't ignore. But understand this: becoming someone powerful is never comfortable. Growth demands that you shed parts of yourself that once felt familiar. Your excuses, your laziness, your emotional impulses, your craving for validation. These are the chains ordinary men never break. You will, because you see through them now. You recognize that every decision you make either elevates your future or protects your weaknesses. And you're done protecting weakness. Every day, you refine your standards. You guard your time like a sovereign guarding territory. You choose environments that sharpen you rather than drain you. You absorb knowledge with the hunger of someone who refuses to remain predictable. And slowly, your mindset evolves into something unbreakable, calm under pressure, precise under chaos, unwavering in purpose. Soon, people will feel your presence before they hear your voice. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll sense something different, something controlled, something dangerous, something rising. This is how you become someone they can't ignore, not by shouting, but by transforming, silently, relentlessly, strategically. Comment: I evolve with purpose. Number 5. The architecture of ruthless self-reinvention. Reinvention isn't an event, it's an architecture of choices, crafted brick by brick, moment by moment, until the man you once were can no longer survive in the world you're building. Most people refuse to change because change demands the death of their old identity, and death of any kind terrifies the weak. But you are not weak. You are stepping into a version of yourself that requires sacrifice, precision, and a level of honesty most men never reach. Reinvention begins the moment you stop lying to yourself about who you are and who you could be. It begins when you recognize the habits that are poisoning your potential, the relationships draining your ambition, the fears holding your strength hostage. and instead of negotiating with them, you cut them out with surgical coldness. The man you're becoming cannot afford the luxury of old excuses. He cannot survive in an environment built for comfort. He must thrive in conditions built for evolution. This is where your discipline becomes more than routine. It becomes identity. You no longer ask for motivation. You create momentum. You no longer wait for ideal conditions. You build progress in the silence of ordinary days. You choose consistency over excitement, strategy over impulse, long-term dominance over short-term satisfaction. This is the psychology of men who reshape the world. They don't act when they feel like it. They act because the mission demands it. And for you, the mission is clear. Become someone so focused, so sharpened, so internally fortified that nothing external can derail your trajectory. Reinvention requires isolation at first. The world will not understand why you distance yourself, why you train harder, why you disappear into your work, your vision, your hunger. That's because they're still chasing distractions while you're constructing destiny. And as you evolve, your silence will grow louder. People will notice the absence of your old habits, the disappearance of your old weaknesses, the vanishing of your old reactions. They will sense the shift before they can explain it. That discomfort they feel is the signal of your ascent. The man you were is dissolving, replaced by someone who moves with purpose, who speaks with intention, who observes with precision. You are becoming the kind of individual who cannot be manipulated, who cannot be rushed, who cannot be underestimated. Reinvention demands brutal self-awareness, knowing where you fall short, correcting it without emotion, and elevating your standards until mediocrity suffocates in your presence. You refine your mindset, your behavior, your decisions, your circle. You build the internal structure of a man destined for influence. And eventually, without announcing it, without seeking applause, you will emerge transformed, steady, disciplined, unreadable, powerful, a presence, a force, a man shaped by deliberate reinvention rather than accidental growth. This is how you rise from nothing, by becoming someone your past self would not even recognize, and your future world will never forget. Comment, I rebuild myself without permission. Number 6, the discipline that turns men into forces. Power evolves when your hunger for growth becomes stronger than your attachment to who you used to be. This phase of your rise demands a deeper form of discipline, one that doesn't just control your actions, but governs your identity from the inside out. You are stepping into a realm where your thoughts, your routines, and your standards must align with the man you intend to become, not the man you were shaped into by circumstance. Reinvention at this level requires you to dismantle every mental structure that kept you predictable, tame, and compliant. You must learn to observe yourself with ruthless honesty, to confront the weaknesses you once ignored, to replace old patterns with new power-driven behaviors. Most men never reach this stage because it requires abandoning comfort at a cellular level. It demands that you sharpen your environment, eliminate draining influences, and commit to a vision that no one else can see. You begin to protect your energy like a sovereign protecting a kingdom, filtering every distraction, every voice, every impulse that can pull you away from your trajectory. People will not understand your distance. They will interpret your silence as coldness, your discipline as arrogance. Let them. Their interpretations are irrelevant. You are no longer living for their approval. You are constructing a life governed by intention. Each day becomes a strategic investment, every hour structured, every choice calculated, every action connected to a larger purpose. You rise by thinking beyond the moment, by moving with foresight, by choosing the path that strengthens your future rather than comforts your present. And as your discipline deepens, your presence changes. You start carrying yourself differently, calmer, sharper, harder to read. Your eyes reveal focus, your voice reveals certainty, your movements reveal control. You stop reacting to negativity because your mind is anchored. You stop explaining yourself because your results speak louder. You stop seeking validation because you understand your value without permission. This is the phase where you become dangerous, not because you seek conflict, but because nothing external can compromise your internal command. The world begins to sense it. Opportunities shift toward you. People become cautious with their words around you. Your aura becomes heavier, more deliberate, more respected. And you realize that rising from nothing was never about proving anything to others. It was about awakening the man buried beneath years of doubt, fear, and distraction. You are becoming that man now, intentional, unshakable, inevitable. You are entering the stage where your transformation becomes undeniable even to yourself. The boundaries you once respected now feel too small for the force you are becoming. You start to crave challenges instead of comfort, growth instead of entertainment, purpose instead of pleasure. You welcome pressure because you know it forges mastery. You think independently, move strategically, and build relentlessly. Every step forward strengthens the discipline shaping your destiny, and with each passing day, you rise further from the man you once were and closer to the unstoppable presence you are destined to be. Rise now. Comment: I discipline my destiny. Number 7. The psychology of commanding respect without asking for it. Respect is never earned by demanding it. It's earned by embodying a presence that cannot be ignored. A man who rises from nothing must understand that true respect is rooted in power, consistency, and the quiet weight of self-mastery. Most people confuse respect with approval. They chase compliments, cling to validation, and shape their behavior around the expectations of others. But you are stepping into a different realm, one where your focus is not on being liked, but on being undeniable. Respect begins with how you treat yourself in the moments no one sees. It's formed in the small decisions, the discipline to follow through, the restraint to stay silent when others would speak, the strength to enforce boundaries without hesitation. People watch how you carry yourself, how you respond under stress, how you handle adversity. Every action becomes a signal. Every reaction becomes a message. And without saying a word, you teach the world how to treat you. A man who commands respect does not move frantically. He moves intentionally. He is neither loud nor desperate. His confidence is quiet, rooted in the knowledge that he has mastered his impulses and sharpened his nature. When he enters a room, he doesn't chase attention. He shifts the atmosphere by simply being in control of his own presence. People sense when they're standing in front of someone who knows exactly who he is. They sense when they're dealing with a man whose values cannot be bent, whose emotions cannot be manipulated, whose path cannot be redirected by noise. And that sensing, that silent recognition, is where respect begins. You must also understand this truth. Respect is reinforced through boundaries. Weak men avoid confrontation because they fear loss. Strong men confront when necessary because they fear stagnation more. You draw lines with calm clarity. You say no without apology. You protect your time, your focus, your mission. The more you uphold your standards, the more others adjust theirs. And whether they admire you, envy you, or resent you, they will respect you because consistency demands it. But commanding respect also means knowing when to walk away. The man who cannot be baited, who cannot be provoked into emotional chaos, who chooses retreat over pointless battles, is far more dangerous than the man shouting for dominance. Power lies in selective engagement. You don't react to every insult, respond to every challenge, or prove yourself to every observer. You conserve your energy for the battles that matter, and that restraint makes you unpredictable, an advantage few understand until it's too late. As you evolve, the world will adjust around you. People will lower their tone, measure their words, and reconsider their intentions. Not because you force them, but because your presence demands it. That is the psychology of true respect. Silent, earned, inevitable. You are becoming that presence now. Comment: I command respect through presence. Number 8. The power of moving like a ghost, striking like a storm. There comes a stage in your rise where raw ambition is no longer enough. You must evolve from a man who wants power into a man who moves with power, quietly, strategically, without leaving fingerprints on the path you're carving. The strongest forces in history were not loud. They were silent currents shaping everything around them. You must become that kind of force. The kind that observes more than he speaks. The kind that understands that silence is not emptiness, it is leverage. When you stop broadcasting your intentions, the world loses its ability to predict you. And when the world cannot predict you, it cannot stop you. Moving like a ghost is not about disappearing. It is about controlling what others see, controlling what they think, controlling what they assume. It is psychological warfare executed through restraint. Every word measured, every movement intentional, every presence calculated. Most people live their lives trying to be seen. They crave recognition because they lack direction, but you are forging a new identity, one that does not need applause to validate its purpose. Your mission is not to be visible. Your mission is to be inevitable. This means embracing the discipline of invisibility. You train in silence, build in silence, sharpen in silence. You remove yourself from environments that drain you and place yourself in environments that stretch you. You stop discussing future plans with people who cannot comprehend the scale of your vision. You become comfortable being misunderstood because you know clarity is unnecessary when the results will speak louder than any explanation. And as you move this way, something powerful begins to happen. People start feeling your presence even when you say nothing. They notice your posture, your eyes, your stillness. They feel the pressure of someone who has mastered himself. But moving like a ghost doesn't mean remaining passive. When the time comes to act, you strike with the force of a storm, clean, decisive, and impossible to counter. Quiet preparation is only valuable when paired with ruthless execution. You must develop the ability to transition from calm observation to strategic aggression without hesitation. Most men hesitate at the moment of opportunity because they are addicted to overthinking, but you will not be one of them. You are training your mind to recognize the shift, to see the opening, to take the shot. When you act, you do so with certainty, not because you know the outcome, but because you trust your preparation. Storms do not ask for permission, they reshape the landscape. When your moment comes, you will move with such precision that those watching will believe your actions were effortless. They will not see the years of discipline behind it. They will not see the nights you spent refining your mind. They will not see the sacrifices carved into your evolution. They will only see the impact. And that is the point. Ghosts do not want credit. Storms do not need validation. You are building a version of yourself that no one can predict, control, or restrain. A man who watches quietly, acts decisively, and advances relentlessly. A man who cannot be tracked, cannot be manipulated, cannot be underestimated. This is the psychology of becoming untouchable. Move unseen, strike unforgettable. You will rise not because you shout, but because you adapt, observe, calculate, execute. You are stepping into a level of power that whispers instead of screams. Comment, I move in silence and strike with purpose. Number 9, the cold strategy of outlasting every obstacle. Every man who rises must eventually face the stage where progress slows, resistance increases, and life attempts to push him back into the version of himself he fought to escape. This is the battlefield where most men fold, not because they lack strength, but because they lack endurance. You are not here to fold. You are here to outlast. Outlasting isn't glamorous. It isn't loud. It isn't easy. It's the cold, disciplined refusal to break when everything around you is pressuring you to surrender. This stage tests you on a psychological level deeper than motivation, deeper than ambition. It tests the durability of your identity. It asks one question. Are you willing to keep moving when results are slow, when no one is watching, when doubt tries to corrode your resolve? If your answer is yes, then you are already among the rare few. Understand this. Obstacles are not interruptions. They are confirmations. The moment the world pushes back is the moment it recognizes your threat. Every challenge you face is a signal that you are expanding beyond your former limits. Most men run from adversity because they interpret resistance as a sign to stop. but you will interpret it differently. You will see resistance as the sharpening stone of power. You will see setbacks as data. You will see pressure as preparation. You will become the type of man who grows stronger when life becomes harder, not weaker. To outlast is to develop emotional neutrality. You no longer celebrate early victories with arrogance or collapse under early failures with despair. You remain steady, stoic, unmoved. This neutrality is not detachment from ambition. It is mastery over volatility. The man who reacts emotionally becomes predictable. The man who stays steady becomes dangerous. When chaos comes, you breathe. When doubt whispers, you analyze. When fear surfaces, you dissect it until it loses its power. You do not run from internal storms. You walk through them until they break around your unshakable will. Outlasting also means mastering delayed gratification. Weak men crave immediate comfort. Powerful men crave long-term dominance. You choose the action that strengthens your future self, not the one that pleases your current mood. While others indulge in distractions, you cultivate discipline. While others chase applause, you chase capability. While others seek shortcuts, you build foundations. Every day you choose the harder path. You widen the gap between who you were and who you are becoming, and something subtle begins to happen. People start realizing that you don't quit. They see that pressure doesn't break you, silence doesn't unsettle you, and obstacles don't intimidate you. They sense that your path is carved not by luck, but by relentless endurance. This perception creates power. A man who outlasts becomes someone others cannot compete with, cannot manipulate, cannot derail. He becomes inevitable. But more importantly, you begin to realize something within yourself. The moment you refuse to stop, the world loses its ability to defeat you. Obstacles become temporary, fatigue becomes irrelevant, doubt becomes noise. You discover that the ability to endure is the ultimate advantage. Strategy is important, intelligence is valuable, skill is essential, but endurance, cold, quiet, unwavering endurance, is what builds legacies. Anyone can start strong, only the elite finish unbroken. You are stepping into that elite category now. You are becoming someone who doesn't rely on inspiration, but relies on commitment. Someone who doesn't depend on external motivation, but depends on internal fire. Someone who doesn't fear obstacles, but absorbs them, breaks them, and continues forward with even sharper focus. This is how you rise from nothing, not by avoiding challenges, but by outlasting everything that tries to stop you. Comment, I outlast every obstacle. Number 10. The final shift into someone they can never ignore. There comes a moment in every transformation where the man you were, the man you pretended to be, and the man you are becoming collide. That collision is violent. It forces you to confront the truth. Rising from nothing is not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about finally stepping into a version of yourself you always felt beneath the surface but never had the discipline, the courage, or the clarity to reveal. This final shift isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, it is silent, internal, and absolute. You stop negotiating with your potential, you stop romanticizing your weaknesses, you stop identifying with the limitations the world tried to wrap around you. Instead, you step fully into your own authority. And authority, real authority, begins within. It begins with the way you speak to yourself, the standards you refuse to lower, the boundaries you refuse to break, the mission you refuse to abandon. A man who has reached this level does not fear being underestimated, he uses it. He does not fear solitude, he thrives in it. He does not seek validation, he becomes his own evidence. At this stage, your presence changes. You move differently, not faster, not louder, but with a collected intensity that makes people second-guess their assumptions. You speak less, but mean more. You take action without hesitation. You navigate life with a quiet certainty that cannot be faked. And whether the world loves you, fears you, or misunderstands you, one truth becomes undeniable. They cannot ignore you anymore, because you have built yourself into someone who commands attention without asking for it. into someone who shifts the energy of every room he enters, into someone who carries the weight of discipline, purpose, and self-mastery in his posture alone. You didn't rise by accident. You rose because you refused to remain average. You rose because you were willing to face discomfort, endure isolation, and sharpen your mind until it became a weapon. You rose because you chose evolution over excuses. And now, standing here at the edge of this transformation, you are no longer the man who started this journey. You are the man forged by it. The man they cannot ignore. The man they will remember. Comment, "I become impossible to ignore." And when you're done, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to continue your rise with the shadow and self.